Ladies and gents, hi, this is the Frugal AI podcast, and this is an exciting one for two reasons. Number one, this is the first time we've ever done this, and it's our first episode, so thank you for watching. And reason two, there's an event coming up, 7th June at the Cambridge Business School. There's a Frugal AI Hackathon, and I've brought this great team together to tell you all about it. Sarish, can you launch into this for us, please, and tell everyone what's happening and why is it happening?
Excellent. Thank you, John. Thanks for having me and for having all of us. So, a little bit of a background. The idea emerged for all this frugal AI because of my decade-long work in frugal innovation and solutions built under constraints. So, one thing what happened in this was January 2023. I was in Bengaluru. I was visiting Professor Jaideep Prabhu there. I was meeting up with him, and we went to this Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru. And Jaideep started talking about ChatGPT, which was released just 2 months ago in November 22. And then, so for me, this was all new. Of course, I know about AI and related things going on, but ChatGPT, I looked at it, I registered for it, and then it blew my mind. But then I started hearing about what AI or large language models need, that they need large amounts of data, they need large amounts of energy and data server space and all these kind of things. So then that got me thinking. My frugal antenna went up, and I asked myself, there should be obvious frugal angle to this. So with respect to AIs, as the footprint grew, I also realized so did and so will inequality with respect to who can access or who can benefit from it. So for me, frugal AI, then obviously I should now mention that last summer, Jaideep introduced me to Elizabeth just right in front of the Cambridge Business School building. And we hit it off because she and I saw the same things with regard to, well, of course, she comes from the data background and she can talk about it herself. And she also knew about frugal innovation, and she worked with Jaideep before. And then, just like me, she saw how the connection works, frugal innovation and AI. So for me, frugal AI is about doing more with less. For me, it is an approach where we could design and deploy AI solutions that are resource efficient, that are accessible, and aligned with both social and climate slash energy slash environmental goals. So for me and for us, what we then did was we did a series of workshops since last November and events, and then in mid-April 2025, we launched the Frugal AI Hub at the Judge Business School. And we wanted to do this because we wanted to address this gap for this inequality, to address social inequality, and then for climate and energy issues. So yeah, I'm co-leading the hub with Elizabeth, and we work on research, we work on policy, we work on this concept called adoption labs, which we can go into, and community building. Yeah, so I'll stop at this point.
And it's extremely encouraging to see from different places in the world now how many communities busy on frugal AI are happening. Also, how many academic papers. So I think frugal AI is here to stay. And the way I see it, it's a 7 billion user opportunity. And let me give you an analogy. So when cars were built, the first cars, they were very big. They used a lot of petrol. And it was amazing. And we loved those cars. But then I'm Italian by origin. So it was, sort of some of those really big, heavy on energy consumptions cars were just unusual if you drive on the Alps or on the Amalfi Coast in the middle of an Italian village. So, the need for smaller cars, for hybrid cars, for energy efficient cars came, and we all know that now we have electric cars, small cars, big cars, etc. So frugal AI does not negate the great advantages of these multi-purpose large language models, but at the same time, they will be available only to a sliver of humanity, just because of the computing cost or the devices that you need to use them, etc. So if you, that's why I think I see that as the 7 billion user opportunity, like in the smaller cards. So there is a huge opportunity to cater for the needs of humanity with an AI that is energy efficient, that is affordable, easy to use, and that does, will go alongside, the bigger cards and the large language models where there is so much investment. So again, sort of absolutely thrilled to have the community of startups, of thinkers coming together, and really big thanks to Tanmay for putting this event together. So Tanmay, what's going to happen on the 7th in Cambridge?
So yeah, thanks for having me on this podcast. I'm very lucky to be in the Cambridge ecosystem. I'm an ex-Cambridge researcher turned entrepreneur and currently building, Getseen Ventures. And Getseen Ventures is basically a co-creation lab which involves bringing students, researchers, industry experts, policymakers, and investors together to, come together and catalyze and build and scale new AI and generative AI startups. So when I personally come from, a tier 2 town in India, and I've clearly seen how frugal innovation has catalyzed India's, development in the last 20 years. So when I met Serish, who actually is a visiting fellow at the Center of India and Global Business, and with Elizabeth, I really got excited about the frugal AI concept and how in resource constrained environments all across the world, we would require AI to be democratized and empower entrepreneurs, researchers, and everyone to come together to build new ideas. So when we met together, we got inspired by the AI at CAM initiative, which is set up by the University of Cambridge. And we saw their white paper on how they had done a lot of different road shows involving policymakers, city councils from Cambridgeshire and local areas, and even Liverpool. And what I thought was it would be great to orchestrate an hackathon, which would bring multiple stakeholders from the local ecosystem, be it students, researchers, people from the council, to come together and use frugal AI concepts and build and scale new startups, which can then be nurtured by the Frugal AI Hub and the co-creation lab which Getseen Ventures is building.
Good. Well, Tanmay, you've achieved it because we've got one of the problem posers here today with us. So, Juliet, your organisation has a problem that we worked on in the hackathon. I wondered if you could tell us a bit about this.
100%. So I work at the Combined Authority for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. So we kind of sit at regional level, working with all of our region, but we're about a population of just under 1 million people. And obviously we help in the delivery of public services. So twofold from our side, we are working with our internal transport team for the region, looking at a problem considering how transport that's large freight can affect urban areas. And the second side of it is we're looking at two factors. We're looking at the economy and growth side of it and how we can best research, utilize ideas, join the dots together, learn more about our region and build that bigger picture to help us invest in the infrastructure in terms of companies to grow. And at the same time, one of the key features is productivity. Now, we all know what a great tool AI is, and with that, it's going to bring savings and benefits in some areas that are going to reduce human time and human input. So looking at that efficiency, effectiveness, productivity side of that, we're looking at whether we can work on a time and motion piece to go alongside that. Now, these are real world problems. We live in a world now where I think if you read the news, there are problems that have been here for years being solved every day, some of which are just mind-blowing. And what I think the beauty of Frugal AI does is it brings everybody together, all of those ideas, all of those viewpoints, the innovation, the thoughts, the input. And because of that, we don't know where that solution comes from, but it gives the gateway and the opportunity whilst being sustainable and benefiting everyone. So we're delighted to be involved.
I think Juliet has been amazing in giving us the challenges. And we are so grateful to Getseen Ventures also for the platform, because you're democratizing also access. So people will be able to produce solutions without actually needing to code. Maybe, Tammy, do you want to say a bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I think looking at frugal AI as a concept, we thought that we would not be using the conventional big tech resources that are available to the masses. And with my work at Getseen Ventures, we keep on meeting a lot of innovators and startup founders, which are looking at different ways by which people can deploy new ideas in the space of AI. So I've got a friend of mine who is an ex Cambridge MBA graduate, Carlos, who is right now building a platform called Kalawai, which is a self-inferencing engine, and he is democratizing on how large language models can be deployed in an open source platform where all our different devices can be linked together for the inferencing and developing of these models. Plus, we are seeing the age of vibe coding, as we can see happening, where a lot of non-developers can interact with the large language models, and the large language models would be, bringing their ideas into fruition by doing the coding themselves. So we are going to use the Calawai platform, and me and Carlos are going to give a vibe coding workshop so that non-coders can, get involved, and we would be creating a network of all the computers that are being used in the hackathon to create a self-inferencing engine. So we would not require any AI cloud from the big tech, organizations. So that is a frugal concept where 50 computers would be linked together, and we would be using open source platforms where non-coders can do vibe coding and solve the challenges that have been given by Juliet's and her team.
if i if I can say something, so maybe some people who are listening to this podcast, maybe they don't know what inferencing or vibe coding is. At least I'll talk about inference, and then maybe Tanmay can talk about vibe coding. So inference, if you can understand, is it suggests like what is happening. So you're saying something, you're doing something, but what is the output you're getting? So when you are using, chat gpt or any large language model, so you put your prompt, you put your question, and what it's doing is there is an inference going on using this pre-trained model for you to give an answer. So at least that's what inference is. Maybe you could also explain what vibe coding is.
So yeah, like vibe coding, the easiest example I can give is imagine you are building Lego blocks, but instead of following the instructions manual step by step, you can put the pieces together based on how you feel it's right for you. And vibe coding exactly like that. Regular coding involves following a recipe, measuring everything, following every step perfectly. But vibe coding is like a chef, which goes the tasting as it they go and adds a pinch of this and splash of that. So a vibe coder can think of, hey, I need to build an app to create more fun, make it more, bouncy animations, but the button feels more serious, or I want something different. So a vibe coder can just tell on how I want to be building something, interacting with the open source large language model, and basically the large language model would build the UI UX interface for them. So I think this is a great way of democratizing a lot of people who have not gone through the official coding experience, and make them more involved, and make them feel better on how they can be solving problems of daily lives, and become builders of their own.
And I think this is a fantastic example of the next stage of AI, because we had, of course, the big numbers models that we all use and we're still using. Then we had the generative models, and now we're moving into tools, right? So to the capability and capacity to create tools for specific problems, which I think that's where we will start to see AI coming of age and giving real benefits. And this is exactly the point of Frugal AI. As we are starting to build these capabilities, let's make sure that these capabilities are sustainable and affordable, and they can solve for real problems. So we are really looking at the constraints, whether it's constraints in compute, whether that's constraint of skill set, you don't need to code, whether it's constraints of specific use cases that are hard to solve or not easy to solve. So I think coming together as a community and solving for this means that we will have platforms where problems will be easier to solve, but also will be sustainable on the longer run. So again, my dream is this kind of 7 billion market that is unaddressed at the minute. And I could see, and I welcome the fact that we have entrepreneurs now in the Cambridge ecosystem really starting to think of how can we make AI so affordable, so easy to use, multi-purpose, but also specific and linked to specific questions.
Good. And Suresh, can I ask you to talk a bit more about what will happen on June the 7th? Would you like to describe what's going to happen on the day? What are going to be all the different sections?
Yeah. So the hackathon, it's a one-day real-world challenge held in Cambridge, and Juliet gave an overview of how we are doing it together with them, with the Cambridge City Council and the Combined Authority of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. So they come up with the challenges. There is open data available, publicly available on the website. And what happens is we are bringing together developers, researchers, public sector actors, and people who, they can be people who are coders and software developers, but not necessarily. Because one thing I am a big proponent of, especially regarding AI, is yes, we need people who know how to code AI, and then all those kind of things. But AI is being used for people who necessarily are not developers. And I myself am not a developer, but I believe I should have a voice and a stake in the ecosystem and that is being developed regarding AI. And this is what this hackathon is about. So we are bringing all of these people together to create frugal AI prototypes for pressing civic issues, the challenges that Jules has talked about. And our aim is to spark, collaborations that go beyond the event. Of course, at the event, we don't want it to be event and done. We want it to be there, solutions that are done at the event, and beyond it, showing that AI doesn't need massive infrastructure to create public value. So it can be lean, it can be ethical, and it could be impactful.
I think as well, if it's okay to add in, it's really that impact to people all round, isn't it? As Sarah rightly mentioned, there are people that can code, but there are people like me that have ideas but can't code. So actually fusing everybody together with the different skills of research, coding, development, engineering, putting together networks really makes that possible. And especially if you look at the government's pledge to the country, in January this year, they launched the AI Opportunities Plan. They want to train 10,000 AI professionals. They've also got a real focus on CivTech and innovation. So this is a really excellent way of bringing people together with an opportunity to meet, network, try, and actually, who knows, they could have the next big idea.
Fingers crossed. And Elizabeth, jump in a moment, because it's also a competitive element. So I understand the challenges will be graded, and there is such a thing as a Frugal AI score. So could you explain this to everybody, please?
Yeah, and it's so we are going to have several teams. So on the day, and actually we are starting to onboard the teams in Discord. We're going to have different teams, and then each of the teams will choose one challenge. So during the day, and then we'll work on the challenge. And then we have lined up a fantastic set of judges from Robert Pollock to Jaideep and sort of others as well, that sort of from a cybersecurity angle, etc. So fantastic set of judges. And we are trialing a Frugal AI score, which is a self-assessment, very simple score. Now, scoring AI is a topic that also we are studying at the minute at the Cambridge Judge Business School, because understanding and measuring whether a solution is frugal or not is actually super important. So we are actually on this journey with the UN. So we have a white paper that we're working together on defining what are the metrics that we can, and test those metrics that really do justice to Frugal AI. Now, on the day, we have a prototype, which probably through the day we will then continue to improve, and we will ask the judges to measure the resource efficiency. It's, shall we say, subjective evaluation with a score of 1 to 10. And just looking at the computational resources, the energy consumption. And again, thanks to Calavi, we will have already sort of optimized for that. We're looking for accessibility and affordability. So again, sort of, would that solution then be available to the local authority if we want to scale? We are looking at the user in terms of simplicity and usability. We would be looking for value creation and to ask the local authority whether we think that that solution will create value and impact. A value can be economic value, but most important could also be a social value. We look at the adaptability and resilience. So can this solution be fine-tuned for other areas? And then can be sustaining sort of more, maybe sort of different roadmaps, different features? And then finally, when the app is finished, what is the environmental sustainability as total? So not only the compute, but just looking in general and how we're going to use it, what is going to be the carbon footprint. So this is a very early stage. Again, we will have these 6 dimensions: resource efficiency, accessibility and affordability, simplicity and usability, value creation and impact, adaptability and resilience, environmental sustainability. The judges will score 1 to 10. And then we will test and see whether, how was the measure okay? Did it work? Did it not work? Did we cover everything?
So what I'm saying is, so then we have hackathons and we have hackathons. But what's very specific about this hackathon is there is an AI for public good component to this hackathon. Then there is a Frugal AI component to this hackathon. So that's quite crucial in a sense that what we are doing is, by combining these two, Frugal AI and AI for public good, we are telling that there are 3 things. One is constraints are really central, because we are asking how can this run on very low compute kind of setting that can be done in a very efficient and a less energy consuming manner. And obviously, we are working with real-world partners. In this case, the Combined Authority and the Cambridge City Council. And the other one, obviously, is public good. So it's not just about the product. It's public good over product in a sense that it's not about the next unicorn, but what the next impactful use case is. So it's population scale, hopefully, and where impact is. Public good is more measurable in a very impactful manner.
What we're looking is to create a spark between different communities. So we have a very strong academic community in Cambridge, but sometimes that could be isolated from the local authority community or other communities. So the leitmotif across all our events is to bring different voices together. So in this case, it's going to be entrepreneurs, it's going to be students, it's going to be people from different walks of life and the local authority. And how can we together start to think about what are the challenges, but also what are the solutions? And as we're creating the solutions, can we make sure that they're sustainable and accessible and that they create impact for public good? So I think it's bringing together all these themes and creating that spark. And we hope that this spark is, just the beginning. So the day will be just the beginning of a long-term relationship that can shape lots of ideas in different directions. So we really would welcome many people to join. Again, don't be afraid to join if you're not a coder or if you're not in local authority. I think that's really the meeting of minds. Whatever is your background, please do come and join us on the 7th, the Judge Business School in Cambridge. And I think we're going to have a great day together and learn from each other.
I think it's so beautifully said, saying dealing with solutions under constraints, but through the whole model, you're taking the solution ease and taking away all limitations. That's how we solve them.
Looking at the UK's AI plan, both opportunities are going ahead. We know that the UK public sector particularly requires AI that is accessible, efficient, and doesn't require massive computational budgets. So I think the Frugal AI Hackathon and this initiative is going to think of how are we going to look at impact per pound invested and what is exactly the public services needed. So we are starting this with the Cambridge City Council and the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority, but we would love to actually do this at scale so that this can be benefit to all the citizens of this country.
So if I can pull all of this together, I think first we hope some of these prototypes that are built on the day of the hackathon, they turn into pilot collaborations with the councils. So that's one. Second, we are building a Frugal AI playbook. We are documenting tools, methods, and metrics. So this is part of that. Doing the hackathon is part of that. The third, I would say, is this is part of a larger push to create Frugal AI adoption labs. I mentioned this a bit earlier during the introduction. So where we want to, identify startups to challenges, to real world constraints, and then with our partners in the UN and others across the globe, we want to help them scale. So yeah. And then how can people get involved? We talked about this. Of course, you can go to the Cambridge Judge Business School website. On the events page, our event is listed, so you can go there and register. And then the frugalai.org is our website, so you could go and check out what are all the things we are doing and basic principles and activities and what we do. We obviously also have a LinkedIn group. We have now a server on Discord where people can come and discuss. So if you are not on LinkedIn, you can come on Discord and collaborate with like-minded partners. Yeah, so I believe this is more of a movement. It's not just a project for us.
Good. Thanks, Suresh. Elizabeth, Tanmay, Juliet, thanks for taking me through all that. I'm excited to learn more about what happened on June the 7th. I wish you the best of luck. It's not easy to arrange these things. And of course, I will find out more about what happened on the 7th because we're planning to record more of these where we discuss some of the outcomes, some of the solutions that were given as part of the event. So we'll record those next week. Thanks all, and we'll see you all next time.